Well, hello and good day to you all. My name is Dimitri Frederick, and you are watching Voices for the Voiceless, a Frederick Media production and a subsidiary of Frederick Capital. Today is March the 22nd, 2013, and today's show is entitled "Oh Cyprus." This past week, with all that's going on in the news of the stock market, what a way to get a blow head on is to hear about a country called Cyprus, which is in financial trouble. And that's the focus on today's show. And so let's get started. On March 18, 2013, of course, America woke up to the news that the country of Cyprus is in trouble. So much so that they have shut down their banks until Thursday. They froze everyone's assets, so no one can pull out any money whatsoever. Everybody has to deal in cash. No one is taking credit at all. So how did they get here? Well, the country of Cyprus is a safe haven for people to hide their money overseas. For the Russians, for example, Cyprus is a great tax haven. In fact, 2011 was a big year for Cyprus, bringing in about $119 billion just from the Russians in investments alone. And it does not stop here. America have saved about $40 to $70 billion themselves in taxes by just hiding their money in Cyprus. What you should also know is that Cyprus deposits are 8 times higher than the average economy of its own country, meaning that big businesses and probably the bankers too all live high off those interests alone for the last few years. That sounds more like a Ponzi scheme to me, but what do I know? For the past 5 days, politicians have been discussing austerity measures to avoid default. Their solution is to take between 6.7%, 75% to be exact, and up to 6.99% of its own citizens' bank accounts instead of taking a bailout money. I don't know how well that's going to work out though. So as you can expect, everyone wants to pull their money out right now. Hence the reason why they froze everyone's assets. The same thing can happen in the US. Have you ever heard of Sir Alan Stanford? He was a Texas native who ran up an $8 billion Ponzi scheme until he was arrested in 2010. Sir Alan was also knighted in 2006 by the Antiguan government, promising investors a high rate of return from their certifications of deposits, or CDs. He was loved by millions of people because of just the jobs that he created, which is a lot of them because he ran that country, and the prosperity that he brought the country of Antigua. When his Ponzi scheme collapsed, though, he left that country devastated, of course, and caused a run on the banks in Latin America and the Caribbean islands, for example. The Venezuelans and the Mexican banks were also hit hard. What bothered me the most from this story is actually watching this video clip that I have set up for you, that I am about to show you, as hundreds of people lined up waiting to pull their money out of the banks. It's truly a sad story. Watch.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have. In fact, there are run on banks across Latin America, across the Caribbean, people lining up to try and get their money out. In fact, the government of Venezuela is saying that it'll back accounts that people have in Stanford banks. Down in Antigua, there are hundreds of people lined up trying to pull that money out of their accounts, and the government there and the banks there reassuring people that their money is in fact safe. But in Mexico, there are hundreds of people there trying to get their money out, and they were told that the accounts have been frozen. In fact, the feds say that Stanford, while he was pulling hundreds of millions of dollars out of his own accounts, was telling his investors, oh, you can't get your money right now because the feds have frozen your accounts. So that's what they say. But again, Jane, as you mentioned at the top, this guy is apparently on the run, and they don't know where he is.
Wow.
The memories of these victims still stay with me to this day, because it's something I never forgot when I saw it firsthand. This also brings me to the conclusion of today's show. What does it all mean to your bottom line? Cyprus is a very small country, as one reporter just this past week pointed out to Bernanke as he was given a speech on the state of the economy. And I should reiterate that we are the largest consumers in the world. we hardly produce anything valuable that is US made. I have already done a show on this topic that you can watch on my replay. So why should you be worried? Well, each one of these crises that we've been going through or we've been seeing overseas in foreign countries can and will one day happen to us here in the United States of America. The only reason why it has not taken place is because we have our fingers on the bandage, meaning we have been printing money to stop the bleeding. One of the most important things that I can call from Why Entrepreneurship, What Is It All About? Part 2 of my latest book to come down at the end of the year, is that we need to diversify our lives. Not just our money, but our lives. What do I mean by that? Everything that we do from our jobs. Today having both husband and wife partners in the same job doesn't make sense. It's very dangerous as layoffs are so high and unemployment can come at any minute unexpectedly. How about our investments? You need to diversify your stocks, your retirement money, and spread it out. A lot of people think that retirement is invested properly. Well, a lot of these, mutual funds or other investments are simply money being put in the same pots of gold, you could say, but they haven't been really diversified into different sectors, which is the key thing you want to diversify your money into. So you need to look into that. Even our children, you should diversify them. What do I mean by that? Well, with the recent shootings and the high rate of children that have passed the last few years, you have to seriously consider your child's life at stake. Having them both go into the same school today with high rate of child suicide and gun shootings and other things that happen in these schools today, it is best to not take 100% of your liability for your children's lives in one place. So I recommend you diversify your children as well. And even your banks. Enough said from today's show, you can see why with so much things happening in different countries. You look at Greece, we look at Italy, and other countries. We looked at the last 2 years as I've been doing this show and seeing what's happening. I guarantee you the next few years, and I always talk about the baby boomers retiring, that you will see things like this happening. And at some point, America cannot keep printing money to actually stop the problems, because eventually it will fall like a deck of cards as well. So if you make a six-figure income up to $1 million per se, you should be paying attention to which countries have resolved their financial crisis and is now in a state of recovery. That's very important. And I don't mean do as the United States government has done, which is avoid the fiscal cliff or continue printing money. I mean really invest your money or protect your assets in countries that have resolved their financial problems or have a solid plan in doing so. My suggestion is to spread your money to several of these well-known tax shelters once they have recovered. This will limit your overall exposure to any future financial outfall that these countries may experience. And all of them, I guarantee you, will experience some form of another, some kind of crisis. So, some of these well-known tax shelters are across the world that we heard of or might have spoken to someone about. They are the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, Morocco, Switzerland, Singapore, and Luxembourg as some of the biggest well-known tax havens. So look into those places, those countries I should say, as they go through their crisis and recover, and see what are they doing to prevent any further outcome of bank runs or economic disaster from happening to them. Wait to see, if they are solid. Don't just rush in just after they've possibly recovered from it. You can find out more in my new book about these issues that I'm talking about, coming out June 8th of this year, 2013. Or by the way, as of today, which is Friday, the banks of Cyprus has stated that they will now open the banks next Tuesday as opposed to this past Thursday. So again, how much money do you have on hand or line of credit somewhere or in different bank accounts or possibly different countries that you could go with your own bank in your own country freezing your assets for 5 to 7 days. That's something you have to seriously consider, because it can happen here in the United States of America. I am Dimitri Frederick, signing off. You've been watching Voices for the Voiceless. As always, I hope you have been in line, have been empowered, and definitely have been educated. Take care, and God bless.